I've never been afraid of AI threatening my job, but when I saw these updates, I felt a little bit of fear. AI is going to transform every field. You're going to have your job replaced if you don't adapt your workflow. I learned that if I talk about God in my video, it performed better in the algorithm. At one point I was like, I'm going to hide my faith to be more successful. And then it became, I'm going to actually commercialize. I'm going to exploit my faith, become more successful. It was like millions of people commenting and having all of these horrible things to say about me. There's so many people in this world that believe they're not good at anything. They're doomed to work a job that they're not passionate about. But the reality is maybe they just haven't found the...
Hey everyone, welcome to the Digital Third Podcast. In this episode, I want to introduce you to Edward's son. You've probably seen his work on Instagram. He went viral with these wild AI-generated images from Midjourney. And while that moment brought a lot of visibility, Edward opens up about how the vanity metrics started to turn his passion into a performance treadmill, which ultimately led to burnout. And in this episode, we go a little deep. We talk about his predictions of how AI is going to change our lives as creators. He shares about how he systematically tackled his fears going full-time into freelancing. And then we talk about how he incorporated his faith in his content and branding and embraced who he really is as a public persona. And to his surprise, it actually increased engagement. Now that takes a lot of honesty and guts, especially online. So yeah, I think this conversation is gonna encourage you, especially if you are navigating your own creative path and trying to figure out how to show up fully as yourself. So without further ado, enjoy the episode. All right, Edward, it is so good to have you. So for those who don't know, why don't you give a little bit of an introduction of who you are, what you do, and then we'll kick it off.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I'm Edward. I'm a designer and content creator based in Atlanta. I specialize in brand design, and I make a lot of content about creativity, design, and faith.
Awesome. Amazing. Super excited about this talk. First off, I want to share your Instagram page here. This is...
You immediately started like 3 years back.
Yeah. This is like kind of your old school stuff. I was just scrolling through here. But I mean, I was just looking like in your YouTube channel. You are an amazing storyteller here. I love like just all your filming and everything. You're multi-talented person. You went viral on Instagram just creating, I guess, AI generated content. I think was this the one that went viral?
Yeah, 400,000 likes. Yep, that's the one.
Okay, pretty amazing. So that was back in 2022, and then since then you took a bit of a break, and then you kind of like recollected yourself, and now you are here. I found you on Instagram as well. And so yeah, let's start with that. How did you get into design and then discover AI, and how did that blow up? Let's talk about that and how the power of content creation actually really elevated your business, your brand, and everything.
Yeah. So really, so I got into design by accident. I wanted to work in the music industry, and then I ran out of money, and then I had, through a random connection, the opportunity to work at a creative agency. And then I learned everything that I know about design while on the job there. But it wasn't until 2020, when the whole world was shook by COVID, that I started to question job security. And I didn't know what was guaranteed and what was not. And so I thought to myself, I should probably build an audience online. That would probably help me hedge my risk. And so started posting a graphic every day. I just started posting like Photoshop. I also wanted to get better at Photoshop. I was like really good at Illustrator, but not Photoshop. So I was using it as a daily exercise to practice my Photoshop. Yeah. So you can see like design graphics in threes, and then I tried a new style every graphic.
Okay, I see.
Dove into a lot of Photoshop, a lot of other different types of new tools. And so I did that. Actually, I posted every day for 2 years. Okay. And then you can see here it transitions to like Reels. I started posting video. The reason for that is because I asked an AI what
Yep.
AI gave, or not AI, Instagram gave me the invitation saying, hey, we're starting the bonus program. We will pay you if you make a video based on views. I was like, let me just like make a video about um, let me make a video about a poster that I made. And
Okay.
so I did that. It got like 20,000 views in a couple hours. And then I was like,
Wow.
what is this? At the time, I only had 5,000 followers. And then Instagram told me it was going to pay me $100 for that. I was like,
Wow.
well, I'm doing this every day already. Let me just keep doing this. And then one of the 3 series was around when Midjourney came out. So I was
Okay.
like, this is a tool I want to try. And then Dolly came out and all that. So I started making videos about that. Those exploded. I
Okay.
guess it was just perfect timing. And then I kept making those videos. And then eventually I got tired of that. So then I stopped posting.
Okay.
um, and then design work at, my full-time job got really crazy. And
Got
so
it.
I got burnt out with content. And then that video that you were playing earlier, it was kind of just like I realized that I needed to come back and be more of myself.
Mm.
Um, I came back and started doing design content, and that is to this day what I'm still posting about.
Okay, cool. How long of a break did you take when you were burnt
I would
out a bit?
say it was like 6 to 8 months.
Mm. Okay.
So yeah, it was a long time, very significant amount of time. And then during that time, I got into photography and videography because
Okay.
I felt like the creative outlet that was separate from my job and separate from like social media pressure.
Hmm.
It's just something to protect so I could play by myself.
Right.
And photography was that for me, and videography. So, and then I brought that into the content that I started making when I came back.
Okay, got it. Oh, wow. So you discovered and developed your videography skills during that break. Like you didn't work on it prior to that?
Mhm.
Okay. Really amazing. Cause yeah, I have to say I gotta go to the screen share here. But like your storytelling is just really amazing. So you edit and shoot everything by yourself, is that right?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. How did you learn this on your own? Like just a lot of
Um,
tutorials, YouTube University.
yeah. So
Okay.
I have a friend who got in. He became like a director of photography. He got into lighting. Um, and I was like, "How did you learn this? Because you're a musician, you know." And then he said, "I just looked up every lighting video on YouTube and watched all of them, and
Okay.
that's how he learned." And so I was like, "Okay, let me do that." And so I got really into that, dove deep, and then I got a camera, and then I just started trying all kinds of things. Yeah, I got some lights, and then eventually found like a talking head setup that wasn't horrible.
Okay.
And then my editing, it was really from my music industry days. I was like editing a lot of music videos, so I was really familiar with,
Okay.
um, I guess, editing software.
Yeah.
And then, so it was really just like following people, watching YouTube tutorials, trial and error, and all of that, and then just doing it over and over again until where I am now.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like it's just amazing. I'm constantly stimulated, hooked, and I think I just want to acknowledge you. Like the content is very like soulful as well as beautiful. So it's really engaging and drawing. I can tell how you're stacking the skills after each post. So it's really amazing. That's cool.
I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Yeah. So, okay, I want to get your take on the newest ChatGPT 4.0. What your thoughts are? Like, how do you use AI right now? Because obviously, back when Midjourney came out, 2022, things have progressed and changed. So, like, yeah, I'm curious to hear what's your workflow incorporating AI into your designs now.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I will say the newest updates, incredible.
Yeah.
Like honestly, mind blowing what is possible. Like seriously, like I had a moment. I've never been afraid of AI like threatening my job, but when I saw these updates, I felt a little bit of fear. I'm gonna be honest. I just looked at how perfect the text was, how perfect the layouts were, the things that were being generated. Up to this point, it was always like photography or illustrations. It was never like graphic designs.
Hmm.
Um, Now, graphic designs, infographics, like posters,
Yeah.
like marketing materials, like things like that. And it's doing it really well, which tells me it's going to be perfect very soon. It's going to be
Okay.
and, right. Feed it references. It's going to replicate extremely well. Um, and so, for me, I still believe to this day, even after seeing these updates, AI is going to transform every field. Like every person who works, you're going to have your job replaced if you don't adapt your workflow to include AI or in response to AI. Just like, if you never had the internet comes and you just ignore the internet, you really will be overtaken by people who have the internet, just like Toys
Yeah.
R Us, prime example. Um,
Blockbuster.
but I think, yeah, and Blockbuster. So I think that's my reaction is like awe at what is possible now.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately my thought was, okay, how do I now incorporate this into my work? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this like really popular saying that is like, AI is not going to eliminate work. It's going to eliminate boring work. So I was
Okay.
like asked a lot about that. And then literally the week of that update that it came out, I had a design presentation for like a big logo design idea that I really wanted to show like a wide breadth of how flexible this logo that I've come up with
Mm-hmm.
could be. And so I wanted to illustrate no matter what aesthetic you choose in the future, no matter what visual style, no matter how you want to adjust the logo, you're going to be able to do it because of how well designed the logo is, how simple it is, right? And so I was like, let me just put this thing to the test. And then so I made so many mock-ups
Mm.
instantly just by typing it in of this logo. And then I had a spread in my presentation of 12 of that logo in different materials. So like chrome, glass, lightning, fire, like all of that. And then I even had like different poster design styles. So I
Mm.
put in some references and then it put my logo in that style of a poster, right? And I even adjusted the poster, like, because it was just like showing a certain subject. I wanted them doing something different, all that stuff. Um, all of these are slides that I would never have been able to put together. But I
Okay.
did all of that in a morning.
Wow.
Uh, and so I think, a lot of people are saying these days that if you do not adopt AI, you will be replaced by a designer who does. Um, and I think that is absolutely true. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I think that is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different conversation. But that does seem like where things are going. And I have, wherever I possibly can, been trying to eliminate all of the work that an AI can do for me,
Mm-hmm.
uh, as much as possible in my business and in my work. That's just one of the ways.
Do you think that the clients that you're getting are going to disappear because they're taking advantage of AI as well, or you're going to be able to get more clients because now you're able to crank up more work?
Yeah. So I think the nature of my business is built around relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the clients that I'm getting will continue to come.
Mm-hmm.
So my niche is Christian-led organizations.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
I'm building my relationships with these people and they work with me because I understand the mission. And they have a lot of trust with me because of that reason. Like I have a lot of personal resonance with their work.
Okay.
For that reason, I think I have an advantage in this area. Number one, the people who are in my niche are extremely late adopters of new technology. To this day, still designing their first website,
Mm.
like sometimes designing, they've been around maybe 50 years, designing a website for them, making it responsive. You know, these are things that we should have done a long time ago. um, so that's the first thing. But secondly, yeah, it's the fact that I have chosen to build my business around relationships. Um, it is not possible
Mm.
to have that type of relationship with AI, in my opinion. I
Yet.
know people, but just knowing the fact that there's another human being that I'm talking to,
Right.
who will be imperfect and will not, um, like has the same limitations as me. is going to be appealing, I think, to my clients. So I feel okay about it.
Hmm.
Um, but in 5 years, something could come out that could change my mind.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah, it's interesting. I think as AI progresses and gets more perfect, more powerful, I do think the differentiator to stand out is going to be community and just actually like embracing like the human to human connection. Because yeah, like you said, even the way we engage content or interact with other people online, we probably want something almost imperfect because that's real and that's human, as opposed to like, I'm just speaking to a robot, you know.
right.
So I feel like that's probably gonna still be valued. Okay, I remember the question I was gonna ask. Do you see designers still having trouble like learning AI and how to best incorporate it into the workflow, or is there like a lot of resources out there to learn?
Yeah, it's not well documented. I mean,
Mm,
I don't think it is. I mean, I think what's been happening right now is every few months there's a new AI tool that comes out that is now capable of doing something amazing that could never have been done before. Um, and then people are just live sharing about the work that they're doing.
right.
But for your specific use case, might not there might not be overlap between your work and what that person is doing. You're going to have to figure it out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the thing about AI that's interesting, though, is that whereas in the past you have to have static documentation
Mm-hmm.
that has to answer your question in an article, or else you have to talk to a human to get help.
Mm,
Now you can talk to ChatGPT, ask all of your stupid questions, and then
yep.
have a tailored response so you can learn and figure it out with the help of this AI chatbot. And so
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that designers can adopt it and can learn these new tools. It's just that you have to change what you perceive as research.
Okay.
Um, because the old way of researching is Googling or finding a content creator who's doing it,
Mm,
a tutorial, something like that. But now research is asking AI to solve this problem for you, to answer your questions, to be your mentor, to guide you in this journey, um, and apply the knowledge for you. And I think that as long as we can make that adjustment, we'll be able to we'll be able to do it. It's kind of like if my parents asked me, "Hey," like 10 years ago, they're like, "Hey, how do you get to this place?"
mm-hmm.
And they were to figure it out, they would go on like MapQuest and then print out the directions and then go and
Mm,
drive. um, but now, but like I was just like driving, following Google Maps, and they would even ask me, "What route did you take?" And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. I just did what my told me to do, and then they would be like, "That's ridiculous. You're not going to survive in this world because of the way that you're doing things." But
yep.
that's now the way that they do it, and that's the way that all of us do it now. We just have to we just have to change what it means to
Mm.
to find the answer.
That's a very good point. The new way of research is more interactive with an AI agent rather than interacting with people or their articles or their knowledge base.
That's right.
So then I wonder how, yeah, that's going to shift the way we interact with humans. So then we almost have to, like, what's left? Um, Instead of going to people with knowledge or for knowledge, I guess. So I have a bit of a philosophy that I'm exploring, which is this sense of play. And I think the digital third is a brand of play, and that I think at the end of the day, when all these things are taken over by AI, we just come to this simple like place of simplicity and come back to like our like kids, like all they want to do is just play and
Mm.
interact and experiment. So I almost feel like we might be going towards that direction.
Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think play will always be something that all of us need,
Hmm.
and therefore it will always survive no matter what changes in the world.
Hmm.
But at the same time, there will always be this human desire to explore what is possible, to push the
Okay.
limits of possibility, right? And the more technology puts expands the realm of possibilities,
Hmm.
there will will always be people taking that technology, and then it's like a map, like in a video game. Like the unexplored areas are dark, and then when you walk there, it's like lit up, and then you find out, oh, there's resources here, or whatever. Humans will always do that, and it will never stop until it's all discovered, which will be never. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think people will be pushing it in directions that it shouldn't be pushed.
Right.
People are going to be freed from certain types of work to now do new types of work that were never possible before. Like in these sci-fi horror stories
Mm-hmm.
where they're like, now we have an algorithm that can predict if someone's going to commit a crime, and stuff like that. Um, so I think there's definitely going to be a lot of new play and return to simplicity.
Mm.
Just like with the digital age, there were a lot of people that emphasize minimalism, um,
Okay.
restricting technological use. But as much as there was that movement, there was also the opposite movement, as in, let's lean into this. Let's do everything we can with technology. And then there was a response to that. Actually, let's only do the good things with technology. And then, I think there's just humanity is diverse like that. And so they're all going to do the things.
Right. Okay. I want to expand a bit on your latest reel here, how to incorporate AI thoughtfully. And that's like part one. What are you thinking about like part two and three? What seems like you have a thesis here on like embracing the tool, but using it for good. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I think so I'm thinking really, really big picture here.
Yeah.
Okay. So like when you think about technology and then you think about the big leaps in technology and what they do to human society,
Mm-hmm.
you've got, for example, the internet. Really, the last comparable thing is when the internet started. Um, you have people who are in power at that time, people who are making a living, maybe printing yellow book pages or like printing a lot of things like in person, like
Mm-hmm.
billboard advertising, all that stuff. You have hand letterers that were like drawing signs and all that. Once you get the advent of internet, all of the tiers of success, people who were dominating those different tiers, that's shaken up.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries are suddenly now being redefined. So the people who were historically never had access to the connections, the
Mm-hmm.
tools, the resources necessary for them to make a living using the talents that maybe they had more of than the people who were successful, given the current landscape, now are given the tools because of the internet
Okay.
to exercise that creativity in a way that puts them now in that position.
Like what
Um,
happened to you? And you had access
exactly.
to this huge, massive audience because it was online.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
So it's like you see the shift, like you see the shift in Hollywood, like to streaming, and then you see the shift from streaming to now like YouTube. YouTube is like
Mm-hmm.
50% of their viewership is on TVs now, and
Yeah.
it's like things are shifting, and of course the people who have been able to make a living with the previous structure
Mm-hmm.
will complain, will be
Mm-hmm.
afraid, will be threatened. And that is what's happening now. There are artists who have been doing hand
Mm-hmm.
drawn art, hand drawn commissions, tattoos, all of that stuff. Like these people are being threatened, and rightly so. They should feel that way. And it is the way that people are doing it is exploitative and it's not good. Um, but there are also people who have the same talent on the other side of the world who would never have had the opportunity because they didn't have a computer, they didn't have a tablet, they didn't have drawing, they didn't have paper, drawing materials. Now all they need is the $20 old, like 10-year-old phone that can go to chatgpt.com.
Mm-hmm.
And just like there's a taking, like people who are like in control and
Mm-hmm.
have the keys to the industry, every once in a while they have to be replaced. Things have to change for the marginalized to have an opportunity to also have their moment to fame and come up. And of
Right.
course, the people who are in power can choose to adapt and adjust,
Mm-hmm.
or they can choose to double down on what they know. Um, which is fighting an uphill battle. But that's what I think. So I think, you know, as we embrace AI, if we want to do it thoughtfully, we definitely need to think about how can we use this to empower people who historically have never had the opportunity to show that that they're good at this talent, they're good at this field or whatever.
Okay.
There's so many people in this world that believe they're not good at anything.
Mm,
They're doomed to work a job that they're not passionate about. But the reality is, maybe they just haven't found the resource. They haven't been resourced to discover that they're good at drawing, that they're good at branding, that they're good at content creation, you know? Um, so yeah, I mean, those are the big things that I think I would want to cover.
okay. Seems like you might be leaning towards helping people educate them and empower them with these newfound skills and these abilities.
I would love to.
Yeah.
I'm currently still discovering
Hmm.
what. I also don't think that AI and how it's going to impact our work is going to be defined. Like we're not going to know what that's going to look like until there's a global standard of government regulation um, regarding these things. Like
Mm,
until that comes, people are uh, anything is possible, and
hmm.
so there won't be, and it's going to be stopped by the government eventually. At that point, then we'll be able to have some stability in the space to be able to define, okay, well, here's what the industry is going to look like.
Yeah.
But until then,
It's the Wild
uh,
West.
yeah, exactly. It's the Wild West. Like people are going to do crazy things.
Yeah. Okay. Really cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yep.
I want to take this moment to shift into your decision to freelance as of what I guess start of this year, right? You were telling me.
Mhm.
Um, how did you know? Can you share a little bit of like how did you know you were ready or not ready? Walk me through, I guess, like the beliefs, the fears that you had to unlearn before just going all in on yourself. Especially again, like now being equipped with the power of AI. Walk me through that decision.
Yeah. So, 2020, I was afraid of job security. I started to think about doing my own thing starting then. That was 5 years ago. Um, I asked a lot of people for advice. I prayed a lot. I, really considered, I like watched all of the podcasts of people who went freelancing and all that stuff.
Mm,
I'm really risk averse. And
okay.
so I did that every year. Every year, everybody was telling me, like, all the signs were pointing to no, don't leave. Um, 2024, everything changed. Everybody started telling me suddenly, Edward, you should do it.
Hmm.
And honestly, and the only thing that's holding you back is your own insecurity.
Okay.
Um, and so what I did was I started to identify my fears, right? I wrote down my fears. One big fear was I don't have, do I have the self discipline to
Mm,
even be my own boss, to like motivate myself to wake up and do work every day? Um, and then I decided I'm going to address this fear head on. I'm going to put it to the test. And so I took 2 weeks off from work and I pretended like I was a full time content creator and designer.
mm.
Did one freelance project and I just made content all day, right? And so I did that for 2 weeks. At the end of it, I discovered actually I came to life. I haven't lived before now. uh,
Okay.
so I realized, okay, that after that experience, no more fear. It was that
Huh.
that fear was eliminated. And then I just decided, you know what? Like all of my fears, I need to sit down and I need to genuinely address them. Like, are these valid or are they not? You know?
Mm,
And so one of them was, can I get clients? And so I looked at my client inquiries, and then I looked at, starting 2020 when I started posting, how many client inquiries did I get? And then when I stopped posting, what happened to those? And I found out that there's a pattern. When I'm not posting consistently, I don't get inquiries. But no matter
oh,
how long of a break I take, if I start posting again, I get inquiries again. And so I
interesting.
had a history, a pattern that was proven to me that if I just post, I will get clients. And so that fear eliminated.
Hmm.
And then I had another fear, which was, can I close? Can I get? I know I can get inquiries. Can I close the clients? Right.
Mm.
And so I looked at all of my past calls that I did when I was at my job and on the side and all that stuff, and then I identified like, okay, at this moment, these people stopped talking to me. Um, so like, it wasn't on the call. They actually felt great on the call. It was actually when I sent them my pricing. Then
Ah.
they asked me, can I see your past work? And then they ghosted me. And then so I was like, okay, I need to spend a lot of time on my portfolio. I need to make
Mm.
an excellent portfolio that is like so unique, stands out so much, and really communicates the value of what I do. I did that. And then so now it's no longer the like, oh, I see your work, so I'm gonna ghost you now. No, now they see my work,
Mm-hmm.
and then now they have questions about my like, oh, what is this? Does this price include this much? Like, does this like there's like long list of things, and then the conversation kind of fizzles out. So then I
Mm.
was like, okay, let's focus on making a proposal that clearly defines, like literally, I just went through all of my fears
Wow.
and I addressed them and then solved the problems. And then, some of them were legitimate fears. Like the most compelling fears have some truth in them. That's why it's hard to shake them off. And
Mm-hmm.
so there was a fear of, truly, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how AI is going to impact, like biggest unknown. I don't know how AI is going to impact my work. I don't know if, once I leave my job, if people are going to still care about me, algorithms change, what's going to happen to my content, like all that kind of stuff. I just had to define here are the things I can control,
Mm-hmm.
and here's the limit of the rationality of my fear. Let me eliminate all the irrationality and then see if I'm okay with what my life will look like as a result. Once I eliminated all of the irrational fear, I looked at everything and I deemed it actually lower risk than it would be a lower risk for me to go out on my own than for me to stay at my job and
Wow.
always wonder like what if I did this.
Mm.
So I'm so risk averse. I had to do so much for me to take the risk. I don't know if everyone needs to go through all that, but that was what I needed to give me the confidence to do it.
I love that. I love that you systematically listed your fears and then you tackled and tested if they're actually real or not. Because a lot of them, what I call, they're like we suffer from phantom fears,
Hmm.
and a lot of them they're just all in our head. They blow up a lot larger than what they actually are in real life. So I love that. That's a good way to overcome doubt, imposter syndrome, fears, is
Yep.
actually tackle it face on instead of maybe like going over beliefs and like encouraging yourself. That's
Mm.
great. So you're eliminating the fears so much so that it's just so obvious. Like, okay, it's just clear. Love it.
Yeah, and
That's
I think
amazing.
before that, like if I did all of that 2 years ago, I
Hmm.
would have found actually my skill is not there, and so I can't leave yet. There's no way. I need to take more courses. I need to like make more, do more creative exercises. That is a lot of also what I experienced years prior. I would look at my own work and then decide, I wouldn't even pay for this. um, and I would, it would just be so obvious that my work was the issue. And so I worked on that.
Okay.
And then I got to the point where that was no longer the issue. And everyone was telling me that is not the issue. It was not just my own bias, like liking my own stuff. It was
Mm.
actually, I hated my own stuff. It was everyone else telling me,
Mm.
you have what it takes. You just have to believe you have what it takes. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
I like to dive a little deeper there. Why was it that you didn't believe in your own work when other people did?
I mean, I think this is just the core of me. Like my like brokenness as a person is just like I always feel that I'm inadequate
Mm.
because I'm always looking at the best of the best. I'm always looking at, and it's not even okay. So I think like the way I rationalize it is I'm not even looking at like the best of the best in the whole world. I'm looking at people who are like one or two steps ahead of me.
Hmm.
I want to make work like that. If I'm not happy with it and I'm not fully satisfied with my work, then uh, I'm not good. I'm not good enough, you know?
Mm.
But then there's all of these people who are, who love me, who know me, people who are not in the industries that I work in, who have benefited from my work because I've done stuff for them and all that. And they insist to me that, I'm amazing. Um, and I think it just got to the point where the people around me had come along with my journey in my career, in my content creation career long enough that they could list out objectively all of the reasons that I should believe that I can do it. Like, this client wanted to work with you. Remember this project? Remember this opportunity you never thought would happen to you, but it happened to you? Remember this video that got this many views?
Mm.
Like all of like for the first like five of them, I was like, oh no, but it's because at that moment that was like a specific time they were just taking it there, or this person was like just taking a risk on me, or this was. I was like explaining all of that because I viewed it with the assumption that I wasn't good enough,
Mm.
uh, and then after like the sixth or seventh, it's just like, okay, I can see that maybe it's a problem with myself, like my view of reality rather than reality.
Mm. Is that, do you think it's just you having such a high standard that that you value really good work, and it's more of that than like you actually devaluing yourself as a person?
I think it's both. Definitely
Really?
both.
Okay.
Yeah. If it was
Yep.
just one, I think it could have been easier, and healthier. But it was
Mm.
both of them, like vicious cycle, like strengthening each other and
Yeah.
torturing. Um, yeah.
Okay. I'm curious, how has your faith really helped you in overcoming that? Of course, we share the same faith there. Yeah, I'm curious to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Yeah. My faith is actually the core way that I discover the truth about myself. Like, a lot of people tell me that I am very self aware.
Mm.
The only reason I'm self aware is because when I feel any negative emotion, I pray. I pray about it. I'll write out everything that I feel in my prayer to God. And then inevitably, somehow, He reveals to me what the true nature of what I'm feeling is, what the
Mm.
root cause of it is. It's the view of life that says everything that you do and feel is a result of your beliefs, right? How you view
Mhm.
reality. And so, approaching all of I mean, even these fears, like all of the things that we've been talking about, it's this idea that I need to find what is the core belief driving this and
Mm.
evaluate if that is true, right? Um, so, me uh, digging down to my insecurity and discovering that it is my delusion that's driving that fear, it's because I got to the core of it, and then I found out that I believed that unless I do work that gets people to value me and view me
Mhm.
as indispensable, I am not a worth like a valuable person.
Mm.
Once I uncovered that that was the truth, it wasn't instant. It was a lot of work and a lot of prayer and struggle. But at the end of it, I could finally identify that my core belief is false,
Mm.
uh, because I believe all people are valuable regardless of what they do. Right? That's the Christian ethic.
Mhm.
So once I identified that it was not true and I was believing that, and that is what was driving my insecurity, then I realized if that is going to be the reason that I don't pursue my dreams, and I'm going to let a lie
Mhm.
determine whether I pursue my dreams or not, like I need to stop that. It was like I'm not going to accept that my life is going to be controlled by this false belief about
Right.
myself.
Yep.
Um, and then it was just confirmed by the voices of other people. Like it's one thing to do the battle in your own mind and tell yourself the truth
Mhm.
when go against such a core belief. It's another thing for people who know you deeply, like the best and worst parts of you, and accept you, them telling you that this is not true, and let us remind you that you're made in the image of God and you're valuable because
Mm.
God values you. It's the power of that that really set me free from that.
Wow. Yeah. Now I'm curious, like how how your thoughts and emotions was like when that viral post came in, because that must have messed up, like, yeah, like your sense of self-worth, and you felt pressure to
Yes.
perform more or to create more content like that. And just balancing, it's like, yeah, I know my worth because God calls me this, but then, there's
Mhm.
I still have to put up with like the audience and all that. Like, walk me through how you wrestled with it, and then it seems like you're in a place where you're more content, you are more grounded. Yeah, can you kind of walk me through that whole process, how
That
you
ex-
navigate through that?
that experience messed me up, man.
Yeah.
A lot of. I mean, firstly, the no one is should ever like get that much attention from that many people all at
Mm,
once. Like
okay.
that history of time and like the way that we were made, it's just not meant to be that way. It's the worst thing for the human heart, you know? Um, and so like going into it blind, I'm just like, this has always been my like dream. I just thought
Mm,
being is cool, but I didn't know what it would do to me. It of course made me believe that, okay, finally I got the value, the self-worth that I want. I just need to like I found out what the condition is. I need to make viral videos. I need to keep making this. And the problem is, social media, it actually gives you a number. It tells you quantifiable metric for this is your value. If you interpret it in an unhealthy way, like I was.
right.
Not only that, you have the quantitative data, you have the qualitative data. Once you get past 100,000 views, inevitably you get negative comments, right?
Oh.
And about like an AI technology, it's especially controversial, right? And then who else are they gonna aim the hate towards except the person who posted the video, right? And so there was so many comments about, like, oh my God, this isn't even art. Like, I can't believe you're devaluing art. You're promoting something that's gonna replace you, like all this stuff.
Mm,
That's one side of the thing. And I was making these videos where I was like, I asked an AI, like, well, to show me the glory of God and koi ponds and fish and like stuff, right? And then it like made this beautiful picture. And then so people would be like, you didn't even let the AI do its thing. You told it exactly what to do. Why are you saying that like the AI made this, you made this, and then other people would be like, you didn't do anything. Like the AI
mm,
did everything. You just, so it was like exact opposite things, but also criticisms. But
mhm.
not only that, because a lot of my videos were about my faith, there were even more. There were like comments like, "Oh well, God, this isn't the glory of God. What about all the other things that He did in the Bible, like killing all these people and all that stuff?" And then
Mm.
I believe
Okay,
that you're,
just like haters of the
yeah, it
faith.
was it was
Yeah.
literally everything, like every reason for hate stacked on top of each other in one
Mm,
video, in every video that I posted. Um, and so that was also a hard thing to process. It was like I went from like only my friends commenting and like other
yeah.
designers who like I actually had DM conversations with, like all of them, and supported them, to now hundreds of thousands, millions of people
Mm,
commenting and having all of these horrible things to say about me.
yeah.
Um, that it was difficult. And then not only that though, like I realized an even more like messed up experience was that I learned that if I talk about God in my video,
Mm.
it performed better in the algorithm
Really?
because of all of the divisiveness in the comments.
Oh, wow.
People like it was like rage baiting. And so like I did a video. So at first it was like, oh, I felt pressure to talk less about God because now I'm getting like mainstream attention, and so like I need to
Yeah,
like appeal to more people.
right.
And then I realized at one point I realized no, actually because I'm talking about, I'm doing more. So it's like
You're getting the
at
haters too, and then that it's like almost a little hack that you didn't even plan on
yeah, well,
attracting more attention.
at one point I was like, oh, I'm gonna hide my faith
Mhm.
to be more successful. And then it became, oh, I'm going to actually commercialize. I'm going to exploit my faith
Mm.
to become more successful. It was like all of these horrible like things that I never had to consider and be like careful about. I was just like being tossed around, like whatever I noticed was working, I was just like trying it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it was the brands coming in and saying, okay, now we're going to pay you. We made an AI tool and all that stuff. Um, that just complicated things even more because
Mm,
it was no longer let me try this tool, let me get better. It was no longer like let me share my faith, let me express myself, let me like explore art. It
mm,
became how can I exploit my audience now?
mm.
Um, and it was just like so
Wow.
many struggles that came in all at once that of course it's going to lead me to burnout. I'm also like feeling the pressure. I need to keep making this exact type of content or else it's not going to do well.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore I'm suppressing 90% of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and these people are just like attacking me 100%, but they don't like I haven't even showed. Anyway, so it's like all of that just like culminated in that experience. So I would not recommend going viral suddenly. I would recommend building that over time.
Okay. Oh, there's so much to unpack. I want to check your time. You're still good? You're okay for a little bit?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Um, One question is, why did you, or how did you get the courage to share a bit about your faith? And
Mm,
because obviously it's not quite related, right? And so I think this is something, even for me, developing and being authentic about, putting yourself out there and expressing, your beliefs and things like that. It can be scary because I know for me, my hesitation is like you experience. The last thing I want to do is kind of share your beliefs and cram it down people's throats and things like that, which I know I'm not, but I think I'm very hyper sensitive because of the judgment or being
mm.
being ridiculed or the haters of people don't believe the same thing that you do. What was it that made you want to share that in the first place?
Yeah, I think the struggle every time when I did something that was visible
Mm-hmm.
was this fear that I would just want to be admired by people. Like that was my worst fear. It was kind of like it just feels narcissistic. It feels vain. It
Mm,
feels unfaithful to God. Um, and so, and like, I mean, we all have experience like seeing a preacher or like a pastor or someone who speaks, but then is like obviously thinks so highly of himself and treats other people accordingly. And then you're just like, okay, you just disqualified everything you're talking about.
mm,
I didn't want to do that, right? And so for me, part of it was always I need to be authentic in my faith, or else I will go down that path. Like
I see.
I will not be delusional and overestimate myself. If it happens to all of these amazingly talented, charismatic people, it's not easy to build platforms like these pastors have done.
Mm-hmm.
If they can do it, and it happened to them that they fell off and didn't even realize, it can happen to me. And so I felt like I needed to be as authentic as possible. But also, people will tell you like when I listen to all of the advice of the gurus, like they all tell you you need to be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
The only way you can stand out is if you really put your full self out there,
Right.
because the only thing unique about you is your combination of all the things that make you who you are, right?
Mm,
Um, and so I felt like I needed to do that, and it was also the question of in real life, how much do I talk about my faith? In real
mm-hmm.
life, I talk a lot about my
Mm,
faith. So in real life, I've heard people refer to me as, oh, he's the Christian guy, you know. Online, for some reason, I didn't want to be known like that. Maybe
mm-hmm.
why am I okay with that in person and not online? So I came to terms with it, and I was like, honestly, that is who I am. So if I'm known that way, so be it. People know me for who I am. That's
Right.
actually the case scenario.
Yeah.
um, so yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. And that takes boldness and courage because it's like, you're putting yourself out there. It's almost being like naked in front of a whole bunch of people, like, see me for who I am. And then, like, you can't hide behind a pretty graphic. You can't hide behind, professionalism or whatever. It's like, this is all of me. And so, okay. So it's interesting how this is funny, like it attracted, like, by you putting out more Christian content or sharing more about God, it garnered more attention. And
Mhm.
because there's now a little bit more controversial or haters or whatnot, or people love God and things like that, so that's really good. Walk me through your thoughts on like, oh, did you like the internal struggle? Like, okay, this is good. Like, I'm actually because I'm being more authentic, it gets more views, and that's what I want. So it's like win-win. But then, okay, I'm like exploiting my faith. So then, do I like retract it? Like, what do I, Well, walk me through that thought process.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I couldn't figure it out, so I stopped.
Mm,
That is the period when I stopped for 8 months. Um, During that period, I really did a lot of soul searching. I learned a lot about there are content creators who talk about their life after going viral. Before that experience, I saw like articles about that, and I'm like, bro, stop complaining. You went viral.
yeah, yeah.
That's like everyone's dream. Um, but I got there, and then I was like, so let me go back to these people, and all
Hmm.
of them kind of echoed the experience that I had. Um, and then they were saying, honestly, you need to like it. The advice was you really need to just focus on longevity
Mm,
and what do you want your life to look like, and what role do you want content to play in your life. And so I really had to evaluate all of that. And then I decided that no matter the consequence, like I'm going to build my faith into my business as a central pillar.
mm,
So that's why, my niche is Christian led brands that I do design work for. And then in my content, I'm not afraid to talk about it.
mm.
Um, but my main focus has shifted from, okay, what's going to go viral to what's going to add value,
Okay.
um, what's going to be fruitful for the conversation that's happening online, and what do I enjoy. Like one of the best ways of being authentic is just gravitating towards the things that you enjoy, regardless of what the algorithm says.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that was the approach that I came back with, and it
Do
was
you
much
do
help.
you do you keep the algorithm in mind though? Like,
Well,
do you
absolutely.
balance that?
I definitely do. So I think the interesting thing about my interests is that, so I, stumbled my way into the design field, and content creation, but I studied marketing. My degree is in marketing and
Mm,
advertising. I have two degrees, marketing and advertising.
wow.
Um, the thing that's most fascinating to me is the strategy that drives the design.
Okay.
Um, so, like, I love web design and branding because you have to think about how will this affect the business, not
Hmm.
just design. And so, when it comes to my natural interest, when I make content, it's exciting to me to think about um, how to make this engaging and how to make it work well,
Hmm.
right? So of course I'm thinking about the algorithm, um, but I have, I guess, clear cut boundaries about what I am willing to play with and
Hmm.
what I'm not willing to play with for the sake of for more reach.
The metrics, yeah.
Um, yeah, and I've decided I'm never going to like present myself one dimensionally anymore, like I
Okay.
was with AI. Um, and I'm going to be, open about my faith. So,
Mm, okay. That's really good. Um, do you think your audience has changed as your content evolved from going beyond graphic design and AI and things like that over the last few months?
yeah, I think it definitely has. But I think I am so ever since that one big shift, after I took that long break,
Mm,
the types of people that I've been attracting have been about the same.
okay.
Because they're, I guess, closer to the things that I naturally am interested in. Um, and so that's been great.
Okay. Cool. Sweet. One last question I guess I'll ask is like how or what do you think is the key to creating content that actually connects with people in your experience?
Um, okay, for me, the things that have excited me the most have also excited other people.
Okay.
So, for example, I come back, I start posting, I decide one of the things I want to do is share these projects, design projects that I've come across in my my career as a designer that have just blown me away. Like I've been so amazed by them and the thinking, right? So I make a video about BTS and their Love Yourself album packaging.
Yeah, I
Uh,
saw that.
I saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so genius. Like I want to one day make something this amazing, this beautiful. Make a video about that. And then it gets 3 million views.
Wow. Nuts. Okay.
And I mean, a part of that is, BTS has a very devoted fan base, and they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna, all of them are coming back and being like, finally, someone recognizes the like designers are finally recognizing the beauty, you know. But I did that even for like there was this building built in New York. The packaging was like so well thought out and systematized and all of that. Did a video about that. It got like 400,000 views or something.
Mm,
Um, and I realized like, oh, the things that like excite me will excite other people. Like the
mm,
tips, like I started sharing software tutorials. These tips that genuinely, when I discovered them, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna make my life so much better. Like it's really just me gauging what is my what excited me and like blew my mind that like what can I like how can I share that with my audience?
mm.
Um, and then I share that, and then it's like inevitable that other people will also have the same reaction. It's like this like bond that ties humanity together. Um, and so yeah, I think like if you just post like one way to reframe authenticity is try to capture your excitement about something
Mhm.
um, and share that with people, and then you will find other people who are excited about it like you, and then
Mm.
your audience will grow from there.
I love that. That is such a great tip and advice because I mean, for those people out there who are they're a little bit lonely, they're designing on their own. If they put content out there that excites them, they're gonna find their tribe who's
Hmm.
gonna be who's gonna have the same interest as you because you're putting it out there, and so you whatever you put out that you love, it's gonna attract the people like similar
Yeah,
people as well. So that's
right.
that's a good way to find like good friends online as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, love it. Awesome, Edward. Well, is there anything you want to share? I feel like that's all the questions I have. I love this, and we're like up to an hour now. But yeah.
No, this is awesome. I mean, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I always feel like at the end of these, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe an hour passed already. Like, I feel like that was 15 minutes.
We went pretty deep. We went pretty deep. That was great.
uh, but it was good. Yeah, we talked about like all of the things that excite me. So,
Amazing. Awesome. Well, for those who want to get to know you or find out more, where can they go? Should they just find you on Instagram? Where
yeah,
can we
you can
find
find me
you?
on all socials at Edward Creates, and then edwardcreates.com if you want to work with me.
Okay.
And it's pretty, I try to make it as easy as possible to find me. So, those are all the places.
Sweet. Awesome. Thanks so much, Edward. I would love to have you on another time to talk deeper into maybe like marketing or content and dive into the weeds or even storytelling because you do such an
Yeah,
amazing job.
I would
You're
be honored.
multi talented dude, so there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, I would be honored. I would love to anytime, man.
Awesome. Sweet. Thank you so much for your time. And for those watching, thanks for joining. I'll see you next time.